Hey guys, welcome back for another amazing Trekyards Originals. I am your host, Captain Foley.
And I am Commander Cockins. And yes, today, to be fair, we have one of our most loyal supporters here joining us to share his ship design and a story today. We are all so lucky.
So welcome, Derek.
Hello everyone, I'm Derek, and I would like to say a big thank you to the Captain and Commander for having me on the show to discuss my ship, the USS David Livingstone.
And of course, it's worth noting this ship cannot be possible without Barry Chapman, our in-house 3D modeler, who's had to work with Derek over several weeks and months to bring it from sketch and idea to reality. And then thanks to Stuart and myself to help develop the backstory a little bit more and help develop all things, although Derek had most of it in his brain anyway. So anyway, we'll get into that later. Without further ado, let's begin.
The first ship station of this class it's so big it's the only way to describe it. It was designed approximately 20 years after the events of Star Trek Online. So development of this class started in 2412, with construction commencing in 2421 and the launch date for the first ship being 2428.
The Leading Edge class was designed to be a mobile, frontline exploration support starship and outpost with advanced construction and logistical capabilities. The ship's secondary functions included an advanced research and diplomatic platform.
Contributing civilizations included the Federation, of course, Klingons, Romulan Republic, not Empire, not Star Empire, Xindi Alliance, Gorn, Ferengi Alliance, Cardassians, and Tholians, a truly joint effort between many of the major players in the Alpha and Beta quadrants. The lead developer, however, was the Xindi Aquatics, and the first of the class was built in orbit of Cestus 3.
This was a very large generational starship and as such had a length of over 8 kilometres, with a width of 3 kilometres and a height of 2.5 kilometres. A total of 504 decks with a very diverse crew complement of 42,000 personnel. This is only staff, of course, consisting of many species.
The ship's design incorporated reverse-engineered Dyson sphere tech and was designed to grow or repair itself utilizing Tholian crystalline structures, very similar to how a coral reef expands upon itself.
The warp core systems aboard this ship utilised a stellar nursery core, we'll ask about that later, with a total of 5 distributed warp cores.
This powered the dispersive coleopteric warp ring drive.
Typical warp cruising speed for this ship was warp 4.6, with a top warp speed warp 6.6 for approximately 8 hours. However, to be fair, the primary drive technology was slipstream.
The offensive systems for these ships/stations were impressive and included 11 Type 18 heavy phaser mounts. It also sported 78 Mark 16 phaser strips, 32 Type 5 disruptors, 36 torpedo launchers, and 20 heavy quantum torpedo launchers.
Defenses included an advanced covariant shield array with metaphasic and temporal shielding. A thin skin of monotanium alloys are utilized on the outer hull that can disrupt weapons and targeting sensors. A secondary hull layer of more standard dimensions utilizes standard duranium, tritanium, and titanium alloys with a crystalline lattice of Tholian origin laced in. This lattice work was extremely versatile and strong, and also was self-healing.
Auxiliary craft included as standard equipment consisted of 500 work bees, 200 shuttlecraft of various sizes and mission profiles, and 50 smaller style shuttle pods.
Due to the existing treaties that prevent any of the major Alpha and Beta quadrant powers from expanding their territories into the Delta and Gamma quadrants, independent scientific and exploration missions must be carried out at the extensive ranges across the galaxy utilising slipstream drives.
Even with a fleet of support ships, the strain on resources proved extreme and made extended excursions limited in scope compared to those carried out in areas in or around any faction's territory. The Leading Edge class relieves the strain on resources by providing a full outpost available to the area being explored and then moving to a new area when sufficient or primary objectives have been met.
The ship/station also acts as a centre of trade that allows for information to be gained on an area, as well as allowing resources that could be of use to the mission to be brought to the exploration fleets by third parties. The location in which the Leading Edge class sets itself up is of course decided long in advance. A number of species will be approached by the diplomatic corps and request access to an area of space, typically at the edge of their space in an inconsequential location to the species.
In exchange, the Leading Edge class can also provide support to craft in the area, and it's also possible to set up in locations where burgeoning colonies are developing, where support can be provided. The leading edge class will spend between 5 and 10 years in a single location. The reasons for this are multiple.
The first being that it allows short mission ships such as the Rhode Island class to conduct specific missions, then return to base to be reconfigured for their next mission. This is used as opposed to long-term multi-mission starships, which have the capacity to gather data and refine it with onboard laboratories.
The second reason is that it takes 4 months to get the shipyards up and running and 7 months to get the shipyards at full capacity. Fortunately, it only takes a mere 3 months to disassemble and reattach the shipyards to the mothership itself.
Many new ship classes were designed by all involved organisations to accommodate the new mission-specific fast reconfiguration turnaround profiles. Many Starfleet ships were smaller in the 150 to 200 metres range and took themes from the NX era ships and their cramped confines and lacking recreational facilities in exchange for ship's equipment and more dependent on the leading edge class for support and R&R, but allowed for a larger fleet to be deployed at any one time.
The forward third of the leading edge class incorporates dry docks and modular shipyard systems. At the top and bottom of the forward section of the ship is a saucer-like section with a pylon connecting the two sections together. The pylon is similar to that found in Earth space dock and similar starbases. This pylon allows for multiple ships of various sizes to dock with the leading edge class and undergo mass crew and cargo transfers.
Behind the pylon and connecting to the bulk of the ship is a honeycomb of small to medium dry docks. These dry docks can be used for anything from adapting a ship's equipment to make them mission specific to a full refit. They also have the capabilities to construct a ship from scratch or construct components that will be utilised in the construction of a larger ship which is too large for their berths.
The leading edge class also carries on board 6 large independent shipyards. During the times when the leading edge class is moving to a new location, the shipyards are attached to the upper and lower forward section of the ship in a modular fashion.
Upon reaching its destination, the shipyards would be detached and put together. This process takes approximately 7 months for all shipyards to be fully operational, and as they are modular, multiple shipyards can be combined to accommodate ships of substantial size. The shipyards are designed to accommodate starships of over 500 meters, whereas dry docks on board the leading edge class are designed to accommodate starships of 500 meters or less.
An entirely new computer interface was designed for the leading edge class and was entirely holographic. This was not out of pure experimentation, but out of necessity due to the diverse nature of the crew. The terminal would activate upon the arrival of a crew member and automatically adjust for the species' physical dimension, i.e. the difference between the size of a Gorn to a Tellarite to even a Tribble crew member. But also take into account the sensory and tactile differences between different species.
Crystalline species such as Tholians may not see in colour and shapes as a biological being would, and therefore rely on tactile controls. Insectoids such as insectoids may require pheromone control.
And just to jump in, I did make up the Tribble crew member. That's not canon. Sorry.
Yes.
Can we make it canon? Because it's funny, a Tribble bouncing over for a control.
Little Tribble with robot legs wandering around. One of the uniquely designed technologies to be specifically integrated into leading edge class was a form of mining beam reverse engineered from the Doomsday Machine. The principal use of the technology was to aid in the acquisition of raw materials from asteroids and other stellar objects. The beam technology is surrounded by multiple heavy tractor beams designed for long-range capture of objects.
It should be noted that the tractor beams are not designed for anything other than object capture. They do not have the fine control over pressure that is found in general starship tractor beams and would likely crush an average starship. The raw materials are brought into an intake adjacent to the rest of the mechanism/systems for processing.
Typically, the beams work at approximately 20% of their potential power and relatively diffuse output. However, in the case of an emergency, the beam can be increased to 100% and focused, resulting in an incredibly powerful beam weapon that has been theorized to be capable of cutting through a Borg cube at the time of launch. The beam possesses a very limited angle of fire and requires any target to be in front of the ship, and can also only fire for approximately 4 shots before burning out many of the essential, nay critical components, as it is not designed to be a weapon. Such a weapon could be virtually useless on anything but the largest and least manoeuvrable of ships, such as battleships or Borg cubes. Also, it would be considered a weapon of last resort or desperate measures.
All ships of the Leading Edge class carry on board an admiral and are staffed by 3 captains and a large contingent of commanders. The admiral on board the Leading Edge class is acting fleet commander, and the 3 captains that serve aboard the Leading Edge class have specialized duties. The first, and the officer in command, is in charge of the entire ship and the crew itself.
The second captain is in command of engineering and logistical matters and is in charge of the docks, both internal and external.
The third captain is in charge of the science division and the science laboratory and research priorities. The science division keeps the closest working relationship with the fleet admiral. Reason for such an excessive command staff is due to the complexity of the ship's resources and need for delegation. 40 ambassadors are also assigned to each ship, complete with full staff, due to the fact that the ship spends so much time in unexplored space and the number of new races encountered on a regular basis.
After the death of his friend and mentor Louis Zimmerman, Professor Reginald Barclay spent much of his career pushing the limits of holographic technology and fighting for the right of artificial beings. Instead of creating new versions upon new version of holographic crew members for ships, Professor Barclay altered the focus of his work to stabilizing the Mark 1 through 4 hologram matrices.
As the Voyager EMH as its inspiration, he viewed the personal development of the holographic crew as superior to constantly starting from scratch on new versions of holograms. To this end, he has fought to ensure certain rights from the Federation in regards to holograms on starships.
The first is that any holographic crew member that is either active for over a certain period of time or have accrued the necessary experiences be considered an individual.
The second was that any holographic crewman's program will be analyzed to ensure that its program has not deviated beyond specific variables, and if it has, will have achieved sentience.
The third was that if a ship containing a holographic crewman has achieved at least one of the previous 2 conditions, that crewman has the choice to be reassigned to another vessel or resign its commission to be assigned to one of the new Leading Edge class vessels as an inactive crewman working on projects of their choice.
The Leading Edge class has the power and processing capabilities to run up to 1,200 holo crewmen. The initial limit, however, was set to 300 maximum initially. As the Mark I EMH had been developed over 50 years before, there was a degree of demand and the initial numbers were easily met.
It should be noted that Professor Barclay secured 2 holographic crew member positions on the ship of their choice, and the first 2 holograms to be assigned to a ship in this capacity. Their names were James Moriarty and Regina Bartholomew.
Special quarters were set up for the holographic crewmen as they had no need for sleep. Their basic quarter configurations contained no bed. However, it did have other features that matched those of a standard crewman. Holographic crew were just as capable of entertaining guests as any other crewman, so it seems natural, really. In the event of a relationship developing between other crewmates, then this would merely require transfer to shared accommodations.
Well, to be honest, there's so much fantastic information about this design provided by Derek that we could continue to get into the nitty-gritty of it for much, much longer, but we need to kind of get down to the meat of the design process by asking Derek some specific design questions.
You know, obviously the Trekyards original program is there for any fan to say, hey, I'd love to design a ship with you guys, take my own design, have it 3D modeled, be on Trekyards, and we can help develop, obviously. So why this ship and why this idea, this basic design?
I'll admit that it's big, but everyone just wants to build a big, powerful ship. I wanted to create something that was more applicable to an actual fleet. You'd need substantial support to run a fleet. With the introduction of the slipstream drive, it extends the ranges of ships. Yeah, but you get small ships that need to be changed their equipment regularly, and doing a 3-month back and forward to the Delta Quadrant, or 9 months to get to the one end of the galaxy to the other. It's not really as feasible for a ship that's 150 meters long.
Earlier on, Samuel pointed out the Stellar Nursery Core. You want to tell us a little bit about the power systems of this ship and how you came up with those? I mean, I've heard of Stellar Nursery Core before, but let us know exactly your thought process behind powering this huge ship.
Well, at over 8 kilometres, the ship's a behemoth in regards to Federation. You had the Sovereign, it had the latest warp core. This may be 50 years later, but warp core technology hasn't changed that much in 200 years. So I doubt I'd either have to have about 20 warp cores spaced across the ship, because it has to be warp capable and slipstream capable. As such, I had to think of something a bit more outside the box. And I would like to say I came up with this idea before Discovery mentioned it in an episode about supernovas. But the idea of a supernova being used to power the ship, and then put into a pocket dimension so that it could fit into the ship, since a supernova happens rather quickly. You slow down the connecting tunnel between our space and the dimension using technology, say, developed by Mannheim or the Mannheim Institute, to slow down the rate the power comes through the tunnel, so that it's a smaller, more regulated amount, and stick it inside what is essentially a miniature Dyson sphere, based off reverse engineered technologies from the Dyson sphere and relics.
Well, I take it that this is obviously based on Romulan technology, as they use, artificial singularities to power their ships, and this just seems like a natural progression of that. But I would assume the tech has existed for quite a while to the Romulans, powering their space stations, because you wouldn't put something truly experimental on a ship that, is going to go out in the forest reaches with, dozens of ships. You wouldn't put something that prototype, because if it blowed up, then it would obviously destroy the entire fleet. So was this something that powered like previous Romulan star bases and such?
Well, actually, I see this as the incorporating multiple technologies from all the different races to achieve this power supply. The project wouldn't have been able to happen without it. It's the Tholians that have been working on dimensional and pocket dimensions. We've known that in the original series and Enterprise. They've been dealing with time and space. The Romulans utilise quantum singularities, which I thought would be a good way to get rid of excess power, by channeling through 6 quantum singularities set around the power core.
Next time on Trekyards.
Well,
the rest of this episode.
Yeah, it's pretty normal. Like, you expect this from us now. It's just like next time, next episode, it'll be great. It'll be great. If you're still watching this video, and we're still talking, why? Just watch something else. Watch another Trekyards video.
It's over. It's over. Go home.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.